Shalom, Kohalo, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakaha, Kudash. Double honors into the apostles, double honors into the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The 144,000 elect, right, and the scattered that are scattered among the heathen nations that look like those heathen nations. Right, and to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone, coming at you another lesson in truth. And just a couple big shorts that I came across. This guy Dan Bilzerian, guess he's a U.S. soldier who fought, had friends die over there fighting in the name of Jewishness, and now realizing the lies and how, you know, America should be called Jumerica, because it's not anti anything to say that they run and control it, because they do. You know, the New York, was it the New York Times or the Jerusalem Post? Yeah, just boasted on 50 most influential Jews around the world that control, you know, and so the money sector, the entertainment sector, you know, the education sector and government, you know, and they were involved in it all and at the top positions in all of them. So how is that anti anything? Just by pointing, they just boast about it themselves. But if Candace Owens or Dan says it, all of a sudden they're haters. They said, "Hey, you see the headline where it says hate J-ish people." Candace Owens and Dan Bilzerian under fire for shocking Israel criticism. And unfortunately, whenever you bring out facts about these people, you know, I did a video some years ago using a book. Now I'll show the cover of the book shortly. And just used some information in the book and got hit with, you know, they took down my thing for hate speech or something, I forget, or anything. I didn't say anything hateful at all. I just pointed out Jewish history, or history that they omitted. And so they like to paint a picture of what they are, and they are Jewish. What they are not is Israelites. What they are not is God's chosen people. All right. Right here in the book, who was Esau Edom? That will be this book right here. On page, open up right to it. Page 8. It's in the second paragraph. It says, under John Hyrcanus, the Edomites were forced to be a part of the Judean culture, you know. But under Herod, and see, Herod was an Edomite, all right, the Herodians, all right, and it was something you would never hear, you know, Dr. Brown, Dr. James White, nor vocab acknowledge this truth, these facts, that you have these Jewish people who became Edomites, who were Jewish, who followed the law, statutes, and commandments, who now claim to be the actual people, and that a Jewish monarchy was set up over the actual Israelites, and that monarch actually married into their families and stuff. But also knowing that also proves that, you know, you are whoever your father is, all right? Because the Herodians were Herodians because of their forefather Esau, not because of their mothers. So that's another Jewish fraud that they push, because they know that they can't trace their fathers back to Jacob. They can be traced back to Esau, Edom, through Alexander, which also is the reason why they removed the Apocrypha from the Bible. But it says, under John Hyrcanus, the Edomites were forced to be a part of the Judean culture, but under Herod, the Herodian faction had control over the Israelites and the way of life. Okay? Then it says, the land was not the kingdom of Judah, but the nation of Judeans, or became the, you know, these people who were forced to convert it, which was a mistake of John Hyrcanus, but prophecy had to be fulfilled. How now taken over, and the real people scoffed at Herod. All right. And it says, historically, the Edomites became known as Jews, a term derived from Judea, which was derived from the name Judah, being the royal line of Israel, and they were. Judah is the royal line, all right, of a royal people. And these people took that name and ran with it and claimed something that they're not. So here, Candace Owens just comes right out and says it. She put, this rabbi on blast. This rabbi is indeed an Edomite. He is not an Israelite. And that's one thing that they haven't said. But that's why the men of the Lord will, be voices and say it for them. What happened here?
The time to help is now.
Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley.
And she told a brutal, uncomfortable truth, which is why this guy is saying what he's saying. Hates Jewish people, Candace Owens. And see, that's just it. Remember, Jewish is the that word is actually evidence against them. All right, just like the form of the Assyrian script that they use, that they write with, is also evidence against them, because the Israelites, the kingdom of Judah, when you look at the coinage and the money from the time and the art and the relics from the time period of the fall of Jerusalem all the way up into the Maccabees, they were using the ancient Paleo Hebrew. They weren't using the Phoenician script, which is and it became obvious to me when I came into this truth as to why they use this other form of script for Hebrew, is because here in the Americas, the Gadites, the Native Americans, and the Reubenites were, the Bakrit stone. They were reading and writing and using the ancient Paleo Hebrew. Ancient Paleo Hebrew or Phoenician Hebrew script was found all over America, from Canada to Brazil. And so it would have been difficult to explain the whole doctrine of discovery when these people would be proven to be the Israelites. And there's many books, there's hundreds of books written between the 1700s all the way up into the early 1900s of the people, the natives of the Americas, Mexico included, South Central America and Canada, coming from the East. They didn't come across this make-believe land bridge. That was a scientific fabrication that they created to try to throw you off the trail. These people are liars. Okay, they don't want to acknowledge, and when you expose them, they just say you're full of hate and all this stuff.
I can't ignore.
Matter of fact, let me just read the scripture real quick before we play Dan. And this is Deuteronomy 33:29. It reads, Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by Yahweh, the shield of thy help, who is the sword of thy excellency, and thy enemy shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places.
All the shit that they've done, they sold their secrets. Netanyahu lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. We fought all these fucking wars. My friends have died over there, and I just look at what they provided us with, and it's fucking, it's not nothing. It's like a negative, it's not, even if they just didn't do jack shit, that would be, bad, but they've actually done things to hurt us over and over and over again. So like this whole thing of they're our greatest allies, just complete fucking bullshit. And, we send them $100 billion, then they send AIPAC $100 million, and then they distribute it to our politicians, and every politician is a little fucking AIPAC handler walking around telling them what to fucking say and how to vote. And it's just like, Look, I've donated like 100 grand to politicians.
So how are they your greatest ally? And what they really are, they're your greatest welfare recipients from America. That's they get, the Israelis get billions in welfare. So it's not some fat white woman or some fat white woman or some fat black black woman, some fat black woman with with a bunch of kids that's bleeding your system dry. It's actually the Israelis for the most part, and now who's joined them is Ukraine. So it's really making up pale citizens, pale people, Edomites, so-called white people, who are actually draining America dry, and there's no money to help American citizens, like those good folk in Asheville and all these other places, in Florida, and there's all kind of mess going on. All right, and cities, and look at Philadelphia and San Francisco, and Oakland. The America's falling apart, but yet they're sending all their money and support over to these welfare, the welfare state of Israel, the welfare state of Ukraine. As a matter of fact, Biden, if I'm not mistaken, just yesterday or the day before, sent another 400 billion to emergency funds to the Israelis, so that they can continue, lying and then getting help, just like Dan is pointing out. And all of a sudden, Dan is a JOO hater. All right, but all Dan did was tell the truth. And like I said, and when people do that, they they get labeled.
Israel is the only country in the world that has a military juvenile detention system.
Wow.
For children as young as 12. Take two kids who live in the West Bank. They're both, say, 12 years old. And they've both been kind of naughty, and they've been throwing stones. And
so that kind of got out of control there. But they've been doing this sort of thing, fabricating news and hiding stuff for a long time. And this is a book that I own, and I'm very careful how I use it, because I've used it in the past and got hit once again with hate speech just for reading out of it. And this is their own information, and I have the book in my hand here. All right, so I own this book, and it turns out what you're looking at is that man in the middle with the glasses on. I think that's what's his name? I think that's what Jake Guzik. All right, and he's on trial. He's Al Capone's lieutenant, and his brother's also an Al Capone. So and I've often said, they Portrait of Jake Guzik, Chicago Circuit, 1930. All right, and he was a straight up gangster. All right, so they were Jewish gangsters, and they were running with Al Capone, and it makes me believe, because they make money off the tours of Al Capone, the stories, the movies. But it's like, damn, was this dude really Italian now? Was he Jewish? Because, I mean, it's a big question for me now, because, Italians don't really get down with JOOs like that. And why is it that all these people that were so close to him were Jayish? It's just a big question I have at this point. But nevertheless, I'm going to stick to the facts here. This is page... Chapter 6, all right, because there's no page on that one. That was 87. So page 95, all right, and I'll just put it up. And it says, "Fly-by-night Jews." Okay, I'm just gonna read a little bit of it. We'll read it down toward the bottom. All right, we'll read the whole thing. Bootleggers and racketeers, 1915 to 1935. All right, so we're talking about Tommy gun toting, 45 toting, hanging off the side of the cars, drive-by shootings, St. Valentine's Massacre, machine gunning up, that whole sort of thing. But it says, within these feuds, Jews played important roles, including Julian Potatoes Kaufman and Bummy Goldstein. We're going to have to look them up. While the stories of these Jewish gangsters and their beer wars are fascinating, they are not the focus of the chapter, because they did not directly interact with or impact Chicago Jewry. All right. Now, that's just giving you some facts that indeed during that era, there was a lot of, JOO gangsters, and there still are now. They just, use a pen and a paper and have other people do the dirty work for them. But this is page 119. And, once you control the media, which they acknowledge that they did, they have a big, hand in that in the Jerusalem Post right here. This is page 119, paragraph 2. All right. I'm just going to start right here. It says, anti, the anti-Sim thing corresponded to a decline of the J-ish crime and gangsters in the city and its significance in Chicago, Jewry. The closing of the ghetto was in many ways the end of the J-ish gangster. Newspapers increasingly omitted the religious marker because that's all it is. It's not a nationality or race. Because the majority of people there's all kind of people in there, and the majority are Edomites. Accordingly, J-ish criminals became simply gangsters. So they dropped the J-ish and just went gangsters. So this is what they do to hide, Let's go to the scriptures. One of my favorites, and it's so relevant damn near every time we speak on a subject matter like this. But this is Isaiah 29:15. And it reads, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from Yahweh, and their works are in the dark, and they say, who seeth us, and who knoweth us?" So they try to hide, all these things that they've been doing wrong, but they have so many tentacles, the APAC, the ADL, the this and that, this fund and that fund. I even get a letter. Here it is. They've been sent. God only knows how many hundreds of billions in the last couple years, but yet I get a letter almost every couple months for the J-ish fund. I'm like, are you are I'm like, are you sending this to mock me, just to make me angry, But these people just being found to be liars, and they're exposed, and the Lord is making them bare and bringing, great shame upon their glory. Read one more scripture. Salakia. I guess it'll be this one. This is Jeremiah 49:10. And it reads, "But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not. Leave thy fatherless children. I will preserve them alive, and let their widows trust in me." All right. "For thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink the cup will surely have drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished?" Vocab, get mad because of the judgment is that the Edomites are going to go into brutal slavery and be treated miserable double for 1,000 years. All right. After, and why would you worry? Because you taught that lie for years that the Edomites were done away with. Now all of a sudden you're saying they can get salvation. "Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it." So you Edomites are going into slavery, man, including the J-ish, all right, and who are mostly Amalek, who are the first of the nations. And when you look at prophecy, it's clear to see who's first in the world, who get, the fact that America has supported, take care of these people the way that they do, and they get treated in America and in the West the way that they do, is evidence that they're first. That because if you disagree with any of their rhetoric, if you disagree with their very disingenuous history, and especially if you come with receipts and point out what the fabrications of the holes or the lies are, well, you get labeled like Dan Bilzerian and Candace Owen. You get labeled as an anti-Sem and a hater. Jeremiah 14:13. I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, and a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be a perpetual waste. And Basra is basically any place where Edomites dwell on this earth today, which is every place that they are stolen land. Every place where Edomites are, they're walking on stolen land, living in stolen houses, owning stolen property. All right? And that's fact. And they're going to have to vomit up everything. All right? So their time is short and their time is coming to an end. And the world will be a much better place when it happens. Because it says, the scripture says that when the wicked, are in rulership, roughly paraphrased, the people mourn. All right? And the people are mourning. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah HaKodash, Bam Yasharallah, Abad Babal.